please all rise. Sorry, let's ring a bell. All rise, please. The forward test of the things we think, say, or do. First,
is it true?
Second,
Is there a concern?
third,
Whether you have membership?
fourth,
Whether you have all concern?
please be seated. Rotary song.
That children. Yeah, 不管他了，唱我
is no longer seen. From north to south, from east to west, the prophets who serve the best are all king. They are white, but still sweltering.
Thank you. Introduction of the visiting Rotarian guests, PPA.
We are very happy that we have two distinguished guests. First of all is our speaker, 郭律师。第二位是 English teacher, is also his friend, 谢慧梦小姐。
Our speaker,
She's a Rotarian. Yeah, so
from which club?
台北。
台北华。
台北华。那我们要唱 Welcome Visiting Rotarians.
Please stand up, please. Let's welcome you.
Yes, oh Rotary, we greet you. Oh, yes, oh Rotary, we greet you. We want you to build our friendship. We are glad you are here today. So get back home and be a cheer. Bring us on all the fellowship. And when once more you are near our door, come again, Rotarian, come again.
And now our president's time.
Yes. Speaker, my fellow Rotarian, and my friend, the beautiful Queenie. Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Now the first one, not now.
没事。
另外一个。Okay, never mind. Yeah, I haven't seen you for a couple of weeks. Yeah, as usual, it's the point time. Today, I want to share 2 points from 诗经. I want to dedicate this 2 points to all the ladies here, not the gentlemen here. No matter you're married or not. One is for those still not married, like Jimmy, and one for those that are married, although. Yeah, so busy, 另外一个不是这个，是张漏错了。
哈哈哈哈。
Sorry. OK， 诗经是中国第一部的文学创作哈。它的历史可以追溯到西周初年到战国中期，所以是从西元前1000年到西元前500年，大概是从 King David 大卫王，一直到那个巴比伦攻陷这个圣殿。好，我想 Ed 应该很清楚这段圣经的历史啊。所以你看到在 King David 大卫王跟那个我说尼布甲尼撒。就是巴比伦王攻陷那个耶路撒冷，在西方的文明呢还非常的落后的时候，中国的文学已经创造出这么样的一个盛情了，相当不容易啊。那第一首它叫《桃夭》哈，桃之夭夭，灼灼其花，花哈不是花。之子于归，宜其室家。桃之夭夭，有分其时；之子于归，宜其家室。桃之夭夭，其叶蓁蓁；之子于归，宜其家人。这首诗哦，我们现在有很多说一室一家，我们赞美一个女孩子，她很适合就是贤妻良母，说一室一家是从这里来的。那还有这一个人，他桃之夭夭跑掉了，其实那是后来不学无术的人滥用，因为这个桃跟那个逃走的逃完全是同音而已啊。这个夭夭也不是跑掉的意思，夭夭是少壮的意思，年轻而壮丽叫夭夭。这就是说这个桃树它呢枝叶树枝壮硕，它就很年轻的树树枝壮硕，然后枝叶繁茂，灼灼其花，它的花开得很漂亮，就表示的这个女孩子很美，外貌很美。之子于归。这个女孩子的归字嫁的意思，如果嫁到我家来，这很适合我们家桃之夭夭，其有分其实分是肥大的，它的果实是很肥大的，所以这是赞美这个女孩子的妇德很好。什么叫妇德？我们常听说女孩子三从四德三从就是在家从父，出嫁从夫，夫死从子。那妇德有四德，对不对？妇德、妇言、妇容、妇沟嘛，那其实现在女性听到三从四德，其实很反感。那事实上，在家从父，那是孝道；出嫁从夫，不是说叫你完全听丈夫的话，而是你要辅助你的夫家，对不对？夫死从子，就是你要好好的抚养儿子，承继下一代，那当然。好好听话那是更好更完美虽然是很难OK。那桃之夭夭，其叶蓁蓁呢？像这个呢，又有妇容，又漂亮，又有妇德，这个女孩子，她呢这个就像那桃树的叶子很繁茂，她可以庇应她的家人就等于说她可以旺夫兴家这是赞美一个女孩子或者一个妇女所以就是献给这今天与会已经结婚的我们这一些在座的 lady OK。 那以后呢就千万不要再讲这个人看到警察就逃之夭夭基本上是没有这句话的。 OK next 叫朴有梅朴有梅其实七夕，求我术士待其几夕。朴有梅其实三夕，求我术士待其今夕。朴有梅请匡系之，求我术士待其未之这个我们知道《诗经》里面他讲风雅颂，赋比兴风雅颂是他的文体，赋比兴是他的那个写作的技巧这个叫兴，兴就是说他借一物去比喻另外一个事情这是一个小女生还没有出嫁，那她已经几岁了？她已经快20岁了。在以前一个女孩子15岁到20岁是4万年龄，过了20岁，如果还没有嫁那个在以前就认为说，那类似我们现在讲的老处女。所以事实上，在唐朝的时候，唐太宗还颁了一个令他就说，如果说你这个地方的官长你的比如说这个县长或是这个村里长，你的管辖的地方，女孩子20岁还没嫁，男生30岁还没有娶。这些官员是有罪的对，如果这个法令放到今天，大概所有的官都被抓起来了那这个漂就是 落在地上，他就是说他看到怎么地上有梅子啊，这个果实啊树上只剩下70%了。他就说这个求我素食要追求我的这些小伙子啊，大概就是要把握这个良好的良辰吉日，赶快来追我。结果再过一阵子啊，瓢有梅啊，哇，结果又掉了一些，只剩下3成了。求我素食，要追求我的，带其今，你今天就来吧，不要再等啊。然后瓢有梅，顷筐细枝，顷筐就是一个斜斜的筐子，就全掉光了啊。那梅都掉地上，顷筐就用那个筐把这些梅子捡起来。他说：“求我素食啊，带其未知，你说了我就嫁你了啊！你只要讲，只要是个男的来说要娶我就嫁你，不要再等。”那就是一个大概已经超过20岁的一个女孩子，还没有出嫁啊，待字闺中，就很迫切想要出嫁的那种心态啊。所以你这首诗你听得懂吗？OK， 这是今天跟各位分享的2首诗经的诗，谢谢大家。
Sorry, Jimmy. Secretary's time. The most important event of our club is the charter is coming on January 24th. So everybody please be prepared. It's our most important event. And next, introduction of the speaker today. So, Asa?
I don't know, I have to say that. So it's my senior fellowships, lawyer, Koisen, and she got very well reputation, and I believe that today she will bring a lot of very interesting and helpful knowledge for everyone. So please, so now I give you microphone now.
刚刚社长提到那个3种是的，我忽然想到，我们之前都会开玩笑说，那个女子无才便是德，所以我常常被叫是缺德鬼。So, first of all, I would like to say thank you very much for this opportunity inviting me to be a speaker here today and share the lunchtime with you guys. Before I start the topic, I would like to introduce myself a little bit. As I just chat with some Rotarians on the table, I'm actually also Rotarian with Taipei Hua'an, and we are the first breakfast club in Taiwan. So you can see our regular meeting time. Actually, our meeting time is 7 a.m. every Friday. So during the winter time, it's really a challenge. So especially I am the MC this year. That means I have to attend a meeting every week and have to wake up around 6. So if you just happen in Taipei and you can wake up very early, please let me know. And you are more than welcome to join us. So as I said, I would like to introduce myself a little bit, and this is my chronicle. As I come here today, just in the SS card, he said he would like to know about all of my career paths. So I would like to share this with you guys. Use this kind of chronicle way. Past Taiwan Bar in 1997, you can recall. 1997 there are 2 very important events in that year. One is Princess Diana died in France. Another is the Hong Kong sovereignty transfer from UK to China. It was just in that year. And I finished my internship for lawyering in 1998 and start my career in 20, because just after my internship, I got back to the school and finished my dissertation. That's my first degree of the Master of Law. And I started my lawyer job with Baker McKenzie 国际通商, the Taipei office, which is the 2nd largest law firm in Taiwan. It is also one of the largest law firm in the world. At that time, it's the largest one in the world, but now it's the second one. And in my earlier life, as I was with Baker, I earlier involved in some transactions, cross-border transactions. So I feel myself need to study abroad because all the transaction deal is the governing law is about English law, or just for example like New York law and English law. So I think I lack of these kinds of knowledge that push forward myself and just go abroad to Harvard Law School in 2003, which is in Cambridge, Massachusetts, USA. And after I finished LLM program, actually Baker just gave me a return offer, so I just got back to Baker. But then I just switched to DND, joined DND 理律法律事务所, which is the largest law firm in Taiwan. And I work with banking and capital market practice, and in that practice, all the deal is about financial institutions, merger and acquisitions, and some capital markets, such as the equity, IPO, initial public offering, and some like other capital markets case, such as bond issuance, or the project finance, such as syndication law, it's called 连带, and or securitization, it's called 证券化. So I think just because I have this experience, then I got an opportunity to switch my career to the banking side. So in 2008, I became a banker with the Bank of New York Mellon, and also relocated to Hong Kong and joined them. Just right during that around half a year, just financial crisis occurred. So it's really a very kind of excited at the time. I just pretend clean my desk every day because I have nothing to do, just waiting for the, clients. But luckily I survived. But for some personal family reasons, so I moved back 2010 and set up my own law firm. It's called IK Partners, 立凯法律事务所, and in Taipei, right near the Taipei Arena. So it's just my history, I would say that. So some of my friends just curious about why I would like to switch my career life like this way, from in banking and in lawyering. I think just from the very early in my lawyering life, I found myself very interested in some this kind of financial cases. So that's why I did Baker McKenzie and joined Lee & Lee. And in my banker life, the deals I ever engaged is those are very, just like talk about something over people's head, but it's just a cross-border transaction of all kinds of bonds and loan agency, securitization, etc. So it also gave me some connections and experiences, like just return to Taipei, set up my law firm. For now, my small law firm, including me, we have only 4 people in the firm and only 3 lawyers. But my small law firm, our clients can, from not only the Taiwan client, we also have the client from Hong Kong, USA, and Japan, even Singapore. And we provide the legal service on the domestic and foreign investment, and some privately held companies, they'll purchase or sell, and some JV kind of lab. Also a little bit cases about civil litigation. So that's about my firm now. And on weekend I like to jogging, if also like this. Jogging and yoga practice, I must do it every day. So let's go back to the topic today. Today's topic is about government and city laws. As recently as Quiet invited me to be speaker today, I'm thinking what I should share with you, all my Rotarian friends. Because in this August, I'm also a guest speaker in 宜兰扶轮社. But at that time, I'm just going to talk about a very serious topic about a closed company, 闭锁性公司, which is amended the company law just passed this year. But I think it's too legal at the time, too legal about that subject. So I will something just come to my mind, just because the lady, I bet everyone just feel very angry and disappointed about the Ding Xin case. Yeah, the Ding Xin case and the Mr. Wei, he got the sentence not guilty. I think everybody just saw the news, and a lot of people just asked me, but my personal view, I didn't just look into the judgment in very detail, because I heard the judgment is over 300 pages, and I have no time to looking into it. But I saw a lot of news, and some people just asked that what's the law, what's the help, why Mr. Wei, he did the wrong thing, and he just cheated the custom and saying the material he employed in can be a human consumption, but the truth is not for the human consumption, and it's kind of the cheat and fraudulent, and why it can still, just nothing, we can do nothing to do with it. And so is it a law problem, or just the judge problem, or the prosecutor's problem? We saw the news about the judge, the court of judge, let's say, because the prosecutor, they didn't provide sufficient evidence to prove Mr. Wei committed the crime. And the judge had to strictly obey the presumption of innocence, 无罪推定原则. But the prosecutor saying that they think the judge have the problem on interpreting the laws in themselves. And the prosecutor saying that, I think my evidence is already sufficient to support that, to prove that Mr. Wei indeed committed a crime. So you can say they are just rake each other, and everyone just go to a TV show to talk about this. So this comes to my mind an idea, just talk about some dump or city laws. Maybe we will think it's ridiculous, or maybe the law itself is not ridiculous. Maybe just the people, they operating the system, they are just the citywide. So before we discuss about dump or city law, and what is the law? I think it will be a question, especially for the law school students as well as a freshman. So if you check a very professional black law dictionary, it will be used in the States, especially for the legal professionals and law school students dictionary. It will just give you the definition about what is law. Originate orders, human activities and relationships through blah 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 and blah blah blah. And then your face will just twist it like this. That's why I feel in the law school. And you have a very strict definition talking about law. But I think if we can conclude for everyone, if even you are not from the law school, I think you can also agree that basically there are three criteria we can expect or we understand what the law is. Actually, law just provide you the rule of game in this society. They effectively give you a clear cut what the standard we should do and we should not do. And also we expect the law can protect our general safety and rights as citizens, punish the bad guys like Mr. Wei or a bad organization like 国税局 or the bad government. Okay. So we also expect the law can bring us a concept as the justice, even though the concept is very abstract and everyone just have the different thoughts of the concept about what is justice. But I will say, generally speaking, we will expect the law can bring us this kind of abstract concept. So let's check if I will give you some examples and see if the three criteria will realized in these laws. First example is about the lobster in New England region. I think everyone just know New England region is probably the earliest region in the States, and for the English immigrants and settlements, and also the original of the independent war in the States. And New England region consists of around 6 states, and the Massachusetts I used to be there. And there is a very, very famous seafood is lobster. Everyone also knows about that. And as I was a student, I used to with some friends and to join a whale-seeing tour just from the port in Massachusetts. And the local people just tell us how to catch the lobster. This is called the lobster trap, and it is only one-way entrance to the trap. So the fishermen, they will put the bait, the lure, put into the trap, and attached to the trap there is a very long rope, and at the end of the rope there is a boil, the boil, and the boil have just in different color and bear the number just to means they are from the different fishermen. So as I took it, and then they will drop the trap just onto the water and check every other day and see if the lobster just climbing into the trap. And as I just on the boat, we can see just on the sea, a lot of the boil just floating there and in different color. It's very interesting experience. Okay, I'm not here to tell you how to fish lobster. Sorry. But why I talk about lobster? Because there is a very interesting law in the New England region, especially in Maine. They say in some parts of New England, serving lobster to prison inmates more than once a week was forbidden by law, as doing so was considered cruel and unusual punishment. It's a very inhuman nature. You know why? Because in early 19th century, and the fishermen, they found that whenever they want to catch the fish, they always catch the lobster, because at that time the lobster was abundant and very easy to get and packed in the sea. So they feel very annoyed and just want to throw away the lobster, because at that time they have no idea about the lobster is full of nutrition and maybe and a low cholesterol,低胆固醇. So they don't know the value the lobster is. So, but they also think it's Western food. And how do we come with the lobsters we caught? Well, they will just give the lobster to some widows, some servants, and even the prisoners in jail. But for a long time, the jail, they just protest and say that it's a human, it's actually very inhuman. You just feed us lobster every day. So every day, so they will just protest and say, I also have a human right, okay? And so I'm a prisoner in the jail. I also have a human right. I reject to eat the lobster every day. So in some New England states, as I understand, is Maine, they just passed a law to prohibit to feed the imprisoned for the lobster for once, maybe twice a week. I heard the law is still effective as of today, till today. It's still effective, but of course, no prisoner can eat the lobster anymore because it's no longer harmful food anymore, and the price is no longer harmful either. And now the lobster become a very luxury foods and in some banquet. And I personally love the lobster very much. So do you think this kind of law is a kind of the rule of game and to tell us what to do? Yes, we cannot just feed the imprisoned, but it's protect our rights, it bring us the justice. So I know it's very difficult to answer this, but it's quite interesting because it also reflect the very local style. I think that it's all about consumer perception change, actually. So another weird law, actually in the States, a lot of the weird law. I heard in Kansas you cannot catch the whale, 金鱼. But Kansas is an inner in the American. They are not surrounded by the sea, so I don't know why the law just prohibited that. But in the Alabama state, Alabama is it's east, southeast in the states. So there is they also say like, don't drive blindfolded. It's illegal. As I saw this, I just feel it's like just a law telling me, when you sleep, please close your eyes. This kind of the rule. So actually, the law is still effective, it's still there, but an intensive research failed to find any evidence of anyone breaching the law. Because no one will just blind your eyes and just drive. You cannot drive right unless you are just in a show or you want to show something special. So let's go to the Switzerland. I will say this class is kind of, please be nice to your neighbor. You are not supposed to flush the toilet after 10 p.m. I think it's because in the old time, the frustration in the building is not so good. So if you just, maybe just flush your toilet and you are draining the water from your bathtub, sometimes your neighbor will just hear a lot of the noises. It's so annoying. So they just have this kind of, I would say it should be an audience and to prohibit you flush the toilet after 10 p.m. That means after 10 p.m. you can still go to the toilet, but you cannot flush it. You have to stand the bad smelling until the next morning. So it's quite weird. And another one in Switzerland, clothes may not be hung to dry on Sunday, but you can just hang on Saturday or any other weekdays. The only reason is no one wants to see white socks waving in the wind during their Sunday stroll. That means you got to have a very good mood on Sunday, but no one wants to see any clothes there in the wind and say hi to you. So for this reason, they forbid this. And let's switch to the Venice. But I think the law is more like reasonable, especially we have doctors today here. It's illegal feeding the pigeons. I think everyone just ever visited some squares in historical sites, even maybe just in Japan and in Europe and in countries, in some Asian temples and churches. Always we can see a lot of the pigeons, the flock flies and gather together. And some people was just feed them. But it will be, just appear more pigeons to fly here, and maybe the pigeons can use this time to take advantage of this time to exchange the bacteria or virus with human. I don't know. So the government in Venice, they cannot outlaw all the pigeons. The only way they can do, they just crack down the people feeding them. So I personally think this kind of law is kind of reasonable because the avian flu. I don't know if whenever avian flu occurs, the always government say don't touch those birds. So in Thailand, if you see a bill just on the floor, what would you do? Usually just pick it up, right? Of course you can pick it up, but be careful. Don't step on money. Anyone want to know why? And anyone can give us answer.
King's photo.
Yes, you are right. Everyone knows that because the royal, you cannot criticize the royal family and the emperor and the Taiwan themselves. And on the Thai baht, Thai jewel, the photos of the king just on the currency. That means if you stepped on money, you stepped on the king's face. So it's not fun. It's very serious in that country. So you must be very careful if you just pick up the money. Okay. So in Dubai, extramarital sex, 婚外的性关系 is against the law and could result in jail sentence for over a year. So the law looks very reasonable, right? And everyone should loyal to his or her spouse. But the issue is extramarital sex is sometimes a crime. It also applies to a rape case, 性侵害的 rape case. That means even the victim and the perpetrator, 加害人被害人 also apply this law. Then also if I'm the victim, I will be also charged by this crime because I have extramarital sex with another one rather than my husband. So I think in this way, this this law is that bring you some justice, protect your rights? Yeah, depends on how you analyze it. And the following two cases is just occurred in this month. This case is very, very famous and draw attention in Japan. Just at mid-December, the Supreme Court in Japan was just upheld Asian law is made in 19th century that married couples must have the same surname. That means if and usually the real case is if I'm married to my husband, right, I cannot use my maiden name. Cause I will have to a new surname, my husband's surname. That means I have a lot of things to do. It's quite hassle. I have to change my maybe diploma, my license, and a lot of these kinds of documents. Otherwise the people will confuse my identity. So there are three women. They just filed a constitutional petition and say that this kind of law actually should be unconstitutional because it's infringing my rights, my human right. I have the right to choose keep my surname, right? But the Japan Supreme Court, they just still think that this kind of law is still constitutional, and it's quite a little bit arguments in Japan because their Prime Minister Abe just say, we have to advance the women's status and their rights, no matter in the government agency or in the company. But this decision, it seems like this go the other way from this policy, and also because Japan is a member of the United Nations. United Nations has a policy to require its member countries to eliminate the gender discriminations and have to amend the law. But seems like Japan still have a long way to go just on this issue. Another law is quite funny, is in Netherlands. Dutch driving instructors can trade the license for sex. So if I'm a poor student and I don't have money to pay the tuition, but I need to learn how to drive a car, I can do something rather than pay the tuition to the driving instructors. It's quite funny. This discussion during a meeting, and I saw the news just say the leaders and the government ministers expressed that it is illegal for driving instructors to offer lessons in exchange for sex. And the two ministers just say that, this kind of return is just for a lesson, not for a payment. And do you know why they are just discuss about these kinds of things? Because they are discussed whether I can impose a tax on this. Because if we just exchange a lesson by sex and no money paid, and the government just say, I cannot, just impose any tax on it. So they have some discussion about this. And everyone knows Dutch people, they actually very open on sex. Their prostitution is legal and regulated in their country, and their prostitutes even can have openly advertisements and all this online. And they call themselves the self-employee, like a lawyer.
Oh my God. Good.
And in France, it is illegal to name a pig Napoleon. Sorry, it's just a rumor. And for now, I will just bring you two cases in Taiwan, which is a very serious one. And I think maybe you have ever heard about this case, and maybe not. And one case is about the case is already solved, but it's called wandering in the court for 30 years. 流浪法庭30年. There are three bankers. They are just in the court for more than 30 years. And the case everybody knows just because quite a few years ago, around 6 or 7 years ago, there is a journalist. He found a case. It is in the court, and it's already been trialed for more than 30 years. So he just published a book. And the story about this case is 3 bankers working with the first commercial bank, 第一银行, and just during the 1970s. At the time, the FCB, 第一银行, it was the shareholder is just the government, so it's an official bank. And all of the 3 bankers, they are just working with the foreign exchange operations. But once a foreign issuing bank refused to honor an aspirant negotiation, the bankers were detained 就被抓到看守所去 by the prosecutors who considered them highly suspicious in committing corrupted conduct and a breach of trust, 贪污背信. So after the bankers has been detained, and the prosecutor and filed a prosecution against the bankers based on insufficient and incorrect evidence provided by the FCB, and the court eventually grants granted a bail and ended the detention of bankers. The case was brought to trial back and forth between the Supreme Court and the High Court for more than 30 years, until the Supreme Court subsequently finally acquitted the bankers in 2007. So as it happened in 1970s, all the bankers just around 30 and 40 ages. But when they are just finally be announced that they are not guilty, they're already around 70 and 80 years old. So in this case, why it's remanded for 12 twice, 跟12审. That means the case is just remanded back and forth, and in High Court, and then the defendant appeal, and the Supreme Court believed that the High Court, they did not investigate in very detail, so they just remand and back to the High Court. So that's why it's so long, remanded for 12 times, and the total have 99 judges trial to this case. And this case has been tried for 30 years, as I said, and one act has enacted for this case, the Criminal Speedy Trial Act. And even this case has brought to justice interpretations, and because only one banker gets the compensation from the country, and it's the compensation for wrongful detention, that means 优于赔偿. The other 2 bankers, they are rejected. So they just went to JRF, the Judicial Reform Foundation, because I call it JRF. It is an NGO for human rights in some this kind of judicial cases. And they help to file to the Judicial Yuan for interpreting the law, and finally the other 2 bankers, they got the compensation for their just be detained in the jail. So why this case can be tried for 30 years? Because the case is that the judge here, they don't have the knowledge about what is the foreign exchange and the practice in the banking. So just in some trial, they even only held 1 or 2 hearings for some such complicated cases, and they just end this court. So I think it's the main reason for this case for 30, to have tried for 30 years. Another case is also a very famous one. It's called 徐自强罗人勒赎案. The story is a businessman was kidnapped and murdered in 1995. And in 1995, the police just arrested one of the defendants, and the defendant John said that 2 other perpetrators was also involved in this case. So the police start to just found the big guys dead, and the police announced that they had to solve the case, promoting the Xu to flee or fear of being tortured into a confession. Now, afterwards, the Xu has surrendered to the district court accompanied by an attorney, but then he was verdicted guilty, and sentenced him to death was confirmed. And again, just Angela mentioned the JRF, they also help on this case, because in this case the question is the judge cannot find, also the prosecutor cannot find any other evidence except for the confession by other defendants. That means if Ethan and if I arrested and I told the police or told the prosecutor, told the judge, and say, oh, Ethan also do the same thing, and the judge will say, hey, you just arrest him and say, because Ethan Cole say you are also the accomplice, 共犯, so you are also commit a crime. So it's quite ridiculous, right? There's no other evidence on this case. They didn't find anything about she involved in this case, and only just and only sentenced him to death penalty, just saying that the other defendants' confession. So JLF also helped on this case and got the interpretation and stop the execution of the death on she. And the number is 582, and saying that co-defendants must have the right of confrontation against other co-defendants, and that diverse testimonies by co-defendants cannot be the sole basis for conviction. So that means if you want to prove a guy's he committed a crime, not only depends on the accomplice's confession, you also need other evidence to prove it. This case brings us, it's a real case here. So about today's topic, weird and city laws, and we know that laws are weird in the city sometimes because they only reflect just a local history, culture, and custom. It's not necessary to make sense if you're just thinking in terms of the protection of the human rights, or maybe just equality or freedom or any other, or satisfying the justice. It's not necessary. And sometimes the people makes the law silly, just like the case I just mentioned in Taiwan, not the law themselves. So that's why some people just ask me, I'm a kind of corporate lawyer. So while I'm also a volunteer with the NGO JRF, that's why that's the reason, because I think that sometimes the people they operate in the legal system, they should be educated, and we are deserving to a better judicial system in Taiwan. So thank you so much. This is for the presentation I brought to you today.
Thank you. You're here for Q&A? Q&A time?
After meeting.
Okay, after meeting.
Okay.
Oh, would you stand for present your gift?
Okay.
Thank you.
It's a point from one of our fellow Rotarians. It's a poetry. Today's
Wow. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
The next attendance report.
Okay, attendance report. Today we have 19 members attending the meeting, and 1 visiting Rotarians and 1 guest. So the attendance rate is 61%. Thank you.
Please.
Hello everyone. We have the one donation from Lu today. Very interesting speech. Thank you, Miss Wong, and Merry Christmas, everyone.
I'd like to remind you, the ones who are going to be performing in our charter ceremony, please be at the juice place right after meeting. Meeting adjourned.
Yes. Before I turn the meeting, I want to say, if you need the help, you should have a doctor friend. If you need security, you should have a lawyer friend. Yeah, I always appreciate all those lawyers. You see, every time the more study you pay to see the law book, the more confusion you got. Even you know every word, but you never know what the meaning is. but I think the city law is much easier. I can understand that. Okay, thank you, Istanko, and the meeting adjourned. Thank you, everyone.
当然，咱即马就是一个礼拜，所以咱爱来练一个，咱加咱的圣乐靠关，把那个情境带入咱的现场。最后，咱先来练习歌，咱先来唱后边唱的613，有时咱给后边这首先来再来，我们把那个各礼拜的那个感觉拿出来，然后来伴奏。编团都几简单，我讲编团都很简单。我咱过来看那个头前这首第一描述描说，第一描述描，这首咱来讲7块7块，这是活动的时间哈。请老师给咱前奏。